Croda released their first half 2026 results last month. In my opinion, they were pretty good. The market agreed, giving the stock about an 8% pop on the day. Now, to be fair, that stock is some ways off of its COVID vaccine-induced high of late 2021, about 70% off of that high to be precise. But we don't give investment advice here. We merely report on surfactant-related things that companies do. So let's do that. Now, as some of you may know, I regard Croda as an archetypal specialty chemicals company. Those companies, in my opinion, have gross margins comfortably above 40% typically, and EBITDA margins comfortably above 20%. They also, I think, more importantly, market effects and performance in applications rather than chemical specifications. I think Croda meets those requirements very well. So let's dig into those results. Overall, the company saw volume and revenue growth the first half, although 3/4 of organic sales growth was attributed to price and mix. By the way, I'm going to make these slides available for download via the link underneath the video. Gross margin compressed a bit versus the prior year's first half. EBITDA margin is up by the same amount, both firmly in that specialty chemicals territory, as you can see. Next slide, we'll take a look at the markets and divisions. Consumer care is doing great with good growth in volume and organic sales and an expansion of the operating margin. Now, within this division, beauty actives, beauty care, F&F, and home care all saw sales growth, and home care reportedly grew in all regions, even in North America. Life sciences kind of treading water, although pharma ingredients did grow 7%. And looks like seed enhancement also has momentum. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the deal with Industrial Specialties? It's about 11.3% of revenue and only 2.5% of operating profit and zero growth. Margins there wholly unworthy of those of a specialty chemicals company. So apparently the deal is, this is the rump, if you like, of what was substantially sold to Cargill a while back, with alongside a remaining sort of contract manufacturing agreement. The company justifies continued ownership of the business as follows, and I quote, Industrial Specialties contributes to the efficiency of our manufacturing model with sales from our shared manufacturing facilities, leveraging available capacity and core chemistries into target markets. All right, so decode that a bit. When they say shared, they mean the sites are shared between business divisions or business segments, right? Business units. And what they're also saying is that this very low margin business gives them scale and thus economies of scale, right, in certain operations, which they don't name, but I'm assuming are things like alkoxylation, ethoxylation in particular, and esterification, which is a big part of a lot of their product lines. Now, in alkoxylation, on the next slide, they note that the UK site is closed and production is transferred to other sites. A new multi-purpose site is now open in Dahej, which that's Gujarat in India. EO and PO were a good chunk of the price increases that they saw from the Middle East conflict. Most of the impact of this conflict was seen in Asia and to some extent in Europe. All right, on the next slide, let's take a look at what they're saying in terms of an outlook. They're looking at 3 to 6% organic sales growth for fiscal 26. And this, of course, will continue to be supported by good growth in consumer care. It looks like the cost savings program, what they've called the transformation program, is on track for £100 million annually by the end of 27. And that continues to be targeted in terms of 65 from supply chain, that's raw materials primarily, right? And 35 from the organization, which I'm reading as headcount mainly. Significantly, and I think this is significant, they are confidently predicting an adjusted operating margin of over 20% for 2028. That's up from the recent 17.7% in the first half of 26 and back to where it was in the mid-2000s in what I refer to as the pre-COVID glory days for Croda, assuming that 2.3% plus or minus of that operating margin translates directly into an increase in EBITDA. That will give them a 25.9% EBITDA margin, which is not too shabby and would put them in fairly limited company among other chemical companies. So, again, I don't give investment advice here. I will say I think the transformation program that Croda started in 2025 is doing just fine so far, very much on track. Thanks again, as always, for watching, and if you have comments or questions, please do put them underneath the video. We'll talk to you soon.